Hi, my name is April Havlin. I'm here in San Pedro Sula, Honduras, and we are going to teach you how to make baliadas, which is the national dish of Honduras. And I'm here with Susana, who is one of the survivors in the program here, and she is going to be teaching you how to make the baliadas. Here we have the ingredients, and the first and main ingredients are red beans. Now these are small when they start, but they have been soaking overnight, so it'll make the cooking time a lot less. But they're small red beans. It's the seed from green beans like we eat in the States. Then we have some vegetable shortening. I'm sure you could use Crisco. We have some baking powder. This is the Royal brand, or Royalty Club brand. We do have a Royal brand in the US. Then we have flour. This is wheat flour, and it is fortified. So I don't know if that's a thing in the States, but that's what it is. We have salt, and we have sour cream and cheese. This is Honduran cheese. Obviously, the kind of cheese that we would put on ours in the States would be a little bit different, unless you can go to a Mexican store and buy this kind of cheese, but it's really salty. We have avocados and eggs. So these are the ingredients that we're going to have in our baliada.
Esta es una libra de harina de trigo.
This is 1 pound of flour, wheat flour, regular wheat flour.
En esta ocasión vamos a hacer libra y media.
Today we're going to be doing 1.5 pounds of flour. So 1.5 bags of this size bag. Now we're going to add the baking soda to the middle
Para la
of the
soda
mound.
tenemos que tener un tanteo, no pasarse de mucha soda.
You can't put too much soda in there because it won't work out right, but she said a specific amount, but it's not measured. About, I would say, 1/2 teaspoon.
Y luego le agregamos un puñito de sal.
Then we're going to add a little handful of salt, about another 1/2 teaspoon.
Y luego le agregamos un poco de manteca.
So now we're going to add a little bit of the vegetable shortening.
Es fácil.
It's easy.
Luego le agregamos, vamos a ir agregando poco a poco agua hasta formar la masa.
So we're going to be adding little by little water until the mass forms. I asked her, how long will you be kneading the dough? And she said, until it forms up. In other words, until it's all sticking together in one big lump.
Es rápido.
It's very quick. A little more water.
Tenemos que tener un cálculo que la masa no quede ni aguada ni dura.
We have to, we don't want the dough to be runny or hard. We're looking for the right balance between runniness and hardness.
Unas 2 horas.
We're going to let it rise approximately 2 hours.
A veces hay harina en que se hace rápida.
Some flour rises quickly.
Pero es cuando es harina preparada, que ya viene ya preparada en el empaque.
And that's self-rising flour. That's when it's self-rising flour. But just regular flour is going to take about 2 hours.
Esta es harina sin preparar, uno tiene que preparar.
This is not self-rising flour, it's regular flour, and so we have to add the baking powder and let it rise. Susana, en tu casa, ¿cuántas veces por semana comen baliadas? How many times a week do you eat baliadas at your house?
Comemos una vez a la semana.
At least once a week.
Pero cuando se nos antoja, a veces 2 veces a la semana.
Sometimes, if we feel like it, twice a week.
Que en mi casa les encanta la...
At my house, my kids love my baliadas.
Es Esta comida se come aquí en Honduras como desayuno y como cena.
This dish is typically eaten as breakfast or as supper, not the main meal of the day, which is lunch.
Eso, gracias. Siempre tenemos que estirar a la harina para que agarre elasticidad.
We have to stretch out the dough so that it will become elastic. ¿Qué estás haciendo ahora? What are you doing
Ya
now?
le estoy dando ya la finalidad.
I'm doing the final steps of kneading the dough, and I'm making one big snake.
Y listo para hacer las pelotas.
So now it's ready to make the little balls of dough that we need. So, making a ball. This is Mercedes, our national director here at Women of Hope. Mírame, smile. Hello. And she's going to be Susana's helper in making the dough balls. Almost every girl and woman in Honduras can make tortillas. 12 or 13 tortillas will come out of this amount of flour, this dough that she's made.
Experiencia
If you don't have a lot of experience, you're just starting,
es como todo aprendizaje que al principio pues cuesta un poco.
it's just like learning anything. In the beginning, it's harder.
Ya una vez agarrando ya experiencia ya.
Once you learn how to do it, it's super easy.
Bandeja y se dejan tapadas, ahí se dejan adormecer.
So we're going to put them on a clean cookie sheet, and we're going to put something over them, and we're going to let them rise. Of course, the ambient temperature in this room is probably at least 85, and will be 94 today, no AC. So if you are in a colder climate and your house is air conditioned, you might want to put it on a very low oven, but they don't need to do that here. ¿Algo más?
Solamente ya, ahora solo queda aquí ya reposando mientras están los frijoles para ya luego venir a...
Okay, so now it's ready. It's just gonna rise. While the beans are cooking, we're gonna let it all sit, and then when we come back, we'll fix it ready for the plate. Susana is putting the beans in the pot, and we're going to put the beans on to cook. Fuego alto, fuego mediano.
Como son frijoles, un poquito alto.
It's going to be a fairly high flame, like medium high, the burner.
Han transcurrido 1 hora 25 minutos en que se pusieron los frijoles.
The beans have been cooking for 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Ya los frijoles ya están, ya se ablandaron.
The beans are now soft and they're ready.
¿Y cómo podemos saber que ya están blandos?
How do we know that they're ready?
Solo tocamos un frijol y le hacemos así.
If we squish it, it looks like that. If we mash on it, it's gonna come right apart in our fingers.
Esto ya, aquí ya indica que el frijol ya está.
That is what indicates to us that the bean is ready.
Entonces, ahora,
Okay, so now
como ya están, vamos a sacar parte de los frijoles.
So we turned off the fire and we're taking out some of the beans.
Vamos a echar la parte que necesitamos.
We're going to put the amount of beans that we're going to need.
Y ahorita como está caliente vamos a dejar que se enfríe.
And so she's putting some spoonful of water into these beans, the ones that she's going to use to now.
Esta es la parte que vamos a licuar.
And so this is the part that we're going to be blending up in the blender. And so we're going to allow these beans to cool. We're going to let them sit until they're cool, which in the tropical climate takes longer than you might think, because it's already in the 90s in here.
Que se enfríen.
We're going to let them cool off.
Una vez enfriados, vamos a licuar.
And once they have cooled off, we're going to blend them in the blender.
Bueno, ahora vamos a proceder
Now we're going to
a licuar
blend up
los frijoles.
the beans.
Los vamos a licuar para luego freírlos, hacerlos fritos.
And then after that, we're going to fry them.
Voy a echar un poquito de sopita.
I'm going to get a little bit of more liquid from my bean pot. I don't have quite enough liquid in the blender.
Hay que echarle un poquito de sopita para que cuando licúe sea más fácil.
I'm adding a little bit more of the pot liquor so that when we blend it up in the blender, it'll blend a little more smoothly.
Vamos a ver. Vamos a proceder. Ya está licuado la primera parte, como verá, el frijol ya va deshechito.
So the first half is now blended up, and you'll see that the beans are completely blended in. ¿Qué estás haciendo?
Bueno, en estos momentos vamos a agregar la manteca a la freidera.
We'll put the frying pan onto the fire, and now we're going to add a little bit of the shortening to the pan.
Aquí tenemos cebolla picada.
Here we have a chopped onion.
La cebolla picada se le agrega al gusto.
This is optional and is to taste.
Si a la persona le gusta cebolla, le agrega.
If the person likes onions, then we put it in there.
Obviamente, si no le gusta, no le agrega.
If they don't like it, then we don't use it.
La cebolla puede ir licuada de una vez con los frijoles.
You can blend up the onion cooked in with the beans and blended,
O puede ir así en trocitos.
or you can do it chopped in this size of pieces. You can put it in the frying pan when you're frying the refried beans.
La cebolla le da un sabor exquisito a los frijoles.
The onion gives another flavor to the beans.
Vamos a
Okay.
hacer de manteca.
So this is the quantity of shortening that she's adding to the pan in order to fry the refried beans.
Luego le echamos la cebolla.
And when the oil is hot, she puts in the onion pieces. And
La sofreímos.
so we're going to stir that and fry it, but not too close because it's popping out at us. When the onion is then fried,
Se le agrega los frijoles.
we add the blended beans.
Echamos un poquito de sal
Okay, we're adding some salt.
y lo movemos.
And we're going to stir it up. ¿Es alto, mediano, o poco el fuego?
Es
How high is the
mediano,
fire?
mediano.
This is over a medium fire. It's not high or low, it's medium.
Y esperamos que se sofría.
And we're going to wait until that's fried.
Vamos a sofreír los frijoles unos 5 a 6 minutos.
So we are going to occasionally stir these beans and fry them up for around 5 or 6 minutes.
Ahora vamos a cocinar un ingrediente más.
Now we're going to cook another ingredient for the baliadas.
A este ingrediente le echamos poca grasa.
We are only putting a little bit of the shortening or the oil in this pan,
Y el ingrediente son los huevos.
and this ingredient are the eggs. Okay, we've got 6 eggs in the frying pan,
Y se le echa su pizquita de sal.
and now we're going to add just a little bit of salt. Now we're going to stir up the eggs.
Lo vamos moviendo.
We're just moving them around.
A este huevo se le llama huevo picado.
We call this type of egg, cooked this way, chopped egg.
Huevo picado o huevo revuelto.
We can also call it scrambled egg, but this is more like chopped egg. Because we chop it.
Debemos de asegurarnos que el comal no esté ni súper caliente ni helado.
So I'm going to have to see if this little griddle that I'm using we don't want it to be super hot and we definitely don't want it to be cold.
Porque recordemos que es harina de trigo la que vamos a
Remember
cocinar.
that it's flour that we're going to be putting on there.
Ahora vamos a comenzar
So now we're beginning
a hacer una tortilla de harina.
to make a flour tortilla.
Una vez estirada,
Once it's
Ponemos.
stretched out, we're going to put it on the griddle. Now she's letting gravity stretch it a little bit more than it was stretched.
ahí.
Just like that.
Esta tortilla de harina ya está hecha, ya está cocinada. Luego venimos, tomamos una cantidad de frijoles, también es al gusto.
Then we're going to come and spoon up the refried beans, and it's to taste.
No, ay, aquí lo voy. Y luego venimos, el queso ya está rallado.
Okay?
Bueno, hemos finalizado de hacer las baleadas. Aquí están los ingredientes.
We have finished cooking all of the tortillas, the baliadas, and here are all the ingredients that we're going to put on there.
Está el huevo,
The eggs,
los
the
frijoles,
beans,
la mantequilla o crema,
the sour cream,
el queso rallado
the grated cheese,
y el aguacate.
the avocado.
El primer ingrediente que lleva
The first thing that you're going to put on your tortilla
es los frijoles licuados.
are the refried beans.
Después de los frijoles licuados,
After putting on the refried beans,
le regamos
you put on
queso
some
rallado.
grated cheese.
Después del queso rallado, le
After the
agregamos
cream cheese, you add some sour cream.
mantequilla. Luego,
After that,
le agregamos el huevo
add some eggs.
y el aguacate. al
After
gusto.
the eggs, we're going to add a few slices of avocado,
La doblamos
and we're going to fold it over.
y aquí ya es una baleada.
And here is a baliada. We are sitting at the table with our delicious dish.
¡Baleadas!
Muy ricas estas baleadas que hizo Susanita.
Very great, these baliadas that Susana made for us.
Ricas.